Further debate? I recognize the member from Essex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am so pleased to be here tonight to participate in this bill, in the debate on this bill, especially since this was an unforeseen development on my part. Because I figured, with the NDP massively in support of working for workers and massively in support of skilled tradespeople and massively in support of this and massively, that we wouldn't even be standing here at 5:35 at night debating something that everybody agrees on, but apparently we got to debate it. I'm not sure why we don't just pass it and vote and all go home, right? That's what we'd all like to do. Can we try? We can't try that because I stood up to start speaking. Now we have to speak for the next 20 minutes. So now I'm going to talk about Working for Workers 5. Why 5? Why not 15? Why not 25? Because we will never stop working for workers. We will continue doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. We will never stop working for workers. This is just another one that we're going to keep producing these, we're going to keep working for workers, and you can anticipate that we will go through this over and over and over again because we will never stop. Why? Because workers are important. And let me tell you why workers are important. The members of this chamber have heard over and over and over again so many times that I grew up on the second concession of Anderton Township, and that was probably the best place in the world to grow up. And I grew up with a great group of people on the Anderton Township, and some of those people were related to me, some of them were not, but one of the people that I got to know as I was growing up was my brother's girlfriend. And my brother's girlfriend was a lady of German descent, and of course her family were of German descent as well. And over the course of time, my brother married this young lady that he had been dating, and I got to meet her greater family. And one of the members of her family were her father, and her father was Maynard Schutter. Now, Maynard Schutter was an immigrant from Germany. He had a big, thick German accent, and he had a big barrel chest, and he was tall, and he was loud, and he was larger than life, and he spoke with a heavy, heavy accent that I couldn't possibly replicate in this chamber. I won't even try. But Maynard Schutter was an excellent, excellent man, a fantastic example of what it meant to be a skilled tradesperson and a person utterly dedicated to his trade and to developing his trade, practicing his trade, and passing it on to others. This man was an immigrant from Germany. Like so many other people, he emigrated to this country after the war, built a family, built a home, built a life for himself, built a career for himself, and passed his experience on to others. Part of the wisdom that Maynard Schutter passed on to others was family wisdom. One of the things that I learned from Maynard Schutter was this: little children, little problems. Big children, big problems. And if Maynard Schutter were alive today, I would walk up to Maynard and I would say, Maynard, you were absolutely right. And I think all of us who are parents would agree. And the other things that Maynard passed on were his skills. Now, Maynard worked in the town of Amherstburg, and he worked in the manufacturing sector, and he was a skilled tradesperson. And the manufacturing sector in the town of Amherstburg is not what it used to be. The town of Amherstburg is my hometown. It's in my riding, the riding of Essex. And it used to be a flourishing manufacturing town. I'm talking about in the 50s and the 60s and in the 70s, when Maynard was building his family and his career and built his home. And when you grew up in the town of Amherstburg in that time, you were guaranteed to walk out of high school, you could have a job the next morning. You could have the job the next morning because manufacturing was so powerful, manufacturing was so common, that's the way it was. But then things gradually changed. They changed over time. They began to disappear. Jobs began to disappear. Manufacturing jobs began to disappear. And part of that was part of a global movement. We can't do anything, about that now. And I suppose if we could dial back the clock 50 years, we might have done things differently, or perhaps we might not have. But that was part of that era. But I can't help but think that part of it were decisions made over the course of 15 years while the Liberal government, supported by the NDP, ran the province of Ontario and made conscientious decisions that affected the course and the progress of the manufacturing industry in the province of Ontario and consequently in the town of Amherstburg. So, for example, over the course of that 15-year government, we saw a high school called Western High School located in my hometown, Amherstburg, Ontario, and it was a skilled trades high school. It taught high schoolers skilled trades. That high school was a fantastic high school. Every single person in that high school, you could ask them, do you like your high school? They would say, I love my high school. People who graduated from that high school, if you ask them, did you earn something out of it? Did it teach you something? Did it give you a good start in life? They would say, yes, that high school gave me a great start in life. It was a skilled trades high school. Let me tell you who came out of that high school. Terry Jones came out of that high school. Who's Terry Jones? You've heard me talk about Terry Jones before. Terry Jones from Amherstburg, Ontario, went to Western High School. In Amherstburg, Ontario, he got a skill. He went on to form Jones Demolition.
Massive.
Jones Demolition had the best slogan in the business. That slogan was, demolition is progress. Demolition is progress. That was the best slogan in the business. And after he started that business, he was a wild success. He expanded more. He went into construction. He took on partners. Other partners who also had skills, who also graduated out of the skilled trades. Some of them were from the town of Amherstburg, some of them were not. And now they've built so many things in and around Essex County, I can't even enumerate all of the things they've built in and around Essex County. Apartment buildings, commercial buildings, industrial buildings, so many things I couldn't enumerate them. So much value added to the economy, I could not add it all up. It would be too complex. I'd have to hire KPMG to do it. And this is the contribution that these skilled tradespeople gave to the town of Amherstburg, the county of Essex, and to the greater province of Ontario. So when I pick up a quote from that NDP activist and former NDP MPP for Parkdale High Park, who served in this chamber from 2006 to 2017. Her name is Sherry DeNovo. And she describes the skilled trades as uneducated. Man, that makes my blood boil. Because you know what? The last thing we need in the world, that's been viewed by 123,000 people, is some NDP activist going out there and describing the skilled trades as uneducated. They are educated. They're not educated like you, or maybe even you, but they have an education and it's in the skilled trades. And that's an education. And man, oh man, when my plumbing doesn't work, I sure wish I had that education and I didn't have to call Munger Plumbing from Harrow, Ontario to come and fix my plumbing. Because that bill was a big bill. And you know why? Because Munger Plumbing earned it. Because they have an education that I don't have.
Hear, hear.
They have a skill that I don't have. They have a talent I don't have. And I don't pay them for a fix that took 30 minutes. I don't pay them for the 30 minutes. I pay them for the years they put in to learn how to do something in 30 minutes or less and fix it and get my house operating again. That's what I pay them for. Just like you pay anybody else. You don't pay them for the time that they sat there and wrote this or did that or fixed this. You pay them for the time that they put in to learn how to do it that fast. That's what you pay them for. And as I stand here speaking and the very excellent member from Elgin, London, Middlesex passes by, it makes me think, man, that guy has talent that he didn't learn in school. Think of those talents. I know what those talents are. If you get a chance to buy that guy lunch, if you get a chance to buy the minister, the associate minister of housing lunch and pick his brain for 20 minutes, you will learn more than I learned in 2 semesters of Canadian history at McGill University. You will learn more from a 20-minute conversation with that man. Because let me tell you what I did during 2 semesters of Canadian history at McGill University back in the 1990s.
2000s.
Maybe it was the 2000s. It was such a terrible course. I'm telling you, it was the worst course in Canadian history that could have ever been invented or imagined in Canadian history. You want to know how bad it was? Well, let me tell you how bad it was. It was so bad, I went to the first course, I decided right away I knew more than the prof. I stayed home for the rest of the year, read my textbook, watched TV, went to the final exam, and got a B+ in the course. That's how bad it was. Probably the best return on investment I've ever made in my life. So that's what I was getting at. That is to say, you don't pay for somebody for doing a job for 30 minutes. You pay for somebody that took all that time, all that effort, all that education, all that studying to learn how to do the job in 30 minutes or less. And what is that person called? That person's called a skilled tradesman or a skilled tradesperson. That's what we call that person. Now, I didn't finish with the Minister of Housing over there. I didn't finish with him, okay? Now, I don't even know what level of education he has. You know why I don't know? It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. Now, you would think it would matter, right? You think it would matter. To me, somebody who has, as some people have pointed out, more schooling than he paid for. But what I'm getting at is this. I don't need to know what his education is. I see his results. I see them on a daily basis. I see what he produces. As I said, 20 minutes with him taught me more than an entire year of the Canadian history course at McGill University. And you know what? If we could all produce as much as that guy produces in the space of 20 minutes, I'll tell you, this chamber would be a lot more productive. Maybe the whole society would be a lot more productive. So let's give him a round of applause, shall we? And there was one thing I wanted to mention about another member of this chamber. Now, I've referred to the member from Mississauga Lakeshore before, and I, as everybody knows, I told everybody that he had been a member of the Knights of Malta, which is an ancient and august association of chivalric knights who do good deeds across the world. But what I had not learned at the time I gave that speech, and what I have learned subsequently, is in addition to that, this is incredible. I mean, we really need to learn more about each other in this chamber. He also is the honorary bearer of the Cross of Hungary. The Cross of Hungary, did you know that? He is a recipient of that cross, and I invite every single member of this chamber to buy him lunch and ask him about that, because we really need to celebrate each other more. But as I was saying, I want to get back to this. I want to get back to the Working for Workers bill and also to skilled trades. I had been talking about a high school called Western High School. And I had been talking about the disastrous series of extremely poor decisions made by the NDP Liberal coalition over the course of 15 years prior to this government taking over the government of the province of Ontario. And that disastrous NDP Liberal coalition over the course of 15 years had closed Western Secondary School and eliminated the only skilled trades high school in all of Essex County. That's what the Liberal NDP coalition did. And so I've asked the question before in this House. I'll pose it again. I know we can't answer it right away, but how many years will it take us in the PC party to undo all of the damage that was done over the course of 15 years? Well, we're starting to do that with this bill, which is the 5th Working for Workers bill, Bill 190. We're starting to do that. We're starting to undo the damage. We are starting to train the skilled workers that we need to build homes. Because if you speak to any of the home builders in your riding, like I do on a regular basis, they will tell you they need more skilled tradespeople, skilled workers.
Hear, hear.
I have yet to encounter a single home builder, and you know the home builders I'm talking about, right? They're the home builders that the NDP leader routinely demonizes on a regular basis every single question period, calling them greedy, calling them rapacious, calling them disastrous, calling them every negative name under the sun, and failing to recognize that these same home builders are exactly the people who are building the homes that the NDP want people to live in. Now, let me ask this rhetorical question. How do you expect to motivate people to build homes for others if you are routinely demonizing them from your bully pulpit in the front row of the NDP caucus? That is a rhetorical question. We know what the answer is. We know what has to happen. They have to turn off their attention, like everybody else is doing to the NDP these days, right? Just turning off their attention and voting for somebody else. They have to turn off their attention. They have to get back to doing their job and do what they've been trained to do, which is build homes, something the NDP have never done. Now, here's what I think we should be doing. Rather than demonizing the very same home builders that we need to build homes in the province of Ontario, we should be encouraging them, empowering them, telling them that they are great home builders, that they have the skills we want and we need, and we want them to train more people to be just like them, productive home builders, productive and contributing to their society, building for others, putting their skills to work, putting their methods to work, and making the world a better place for themselves and their families and their communities and their friends and their relatives. That's what we should be doing. I don't know how many times the Leader of the Opposition has stood in this chamber and utterly demonized every single home builder that she has ever mentioned. But then what we did in this caucus is we simply took a quote from a very well-known NDP activist, Sherry DeNovo, who served in this chamber many years as an NDP MPP, and we were told, well, you know, maybe it's not fair to mention that. But the Leader of the Opposition has routinely stood up during question period and mentioned all sorts of names, names after names after names, names after names and more names, slandering people in the worst sort of way for building homes. She's done that, and we've all heard it. And if those comments were made outside this chamber, they would constitute slander. But she has the protection of the inside of this chamber, as we all do. It's a parliamentary chamber, and we have the right to say what we say, right? And we're protected by parliamentary privilege. And that parliamentary privilege is going to go a long way for the Leader of the Opposition, because she said a lot of things about a lot of other people, none of which is going to harm her. None of which is going to harm her. So that's why we continue bringing bills like this. And we won't stop. There's going to be a 6 and a 7, a Working for Workers 8, a Working for Workers 9, and a Working for Workers 10. And we're going to keep going because we will never stop working for workers. And I know there's going to be an 11 and a 12 because we're going to be along here. We're going to be around long enough to bring a 12 and a 13 and a 14. And I don't know if the members over there are going to be around, but I'll be around. And I have a suspicion that there's a lot of people over here in the PC caucus who are going to be around too. And I'm going to be happy to be around to bring those, because we're going to continue working for workers. We're going to continue bringing bills such as this one, bills which train skilled people to continue their trade and contribute to the province of Ontario, bills which continue to enhance the working life of people in the province of Ontario, to make workplaces better places to work and learn and earn a living. And finally, I want to end with this. I really wish Maynard Schutter were here today to hear this speech, because I think he would be flattered by the fact that I remembered his words. And that guy with the big barreled chest and the heavy, heavy German accent who made a great life for himself here in Ontario for himself and his family, he is a legacy of some of the greatest things that Ontario has to offer. What are those things? A place to work, a place to grow, a place to earn a living, raise your family, build a home, and build a better life for yourself and your children. And those are all great reasons for us to vote in favor of this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you to the member. I just want to caution on the use of language in regards to unparliamentary. I won't repeat the line, but I'll ask you to withdraw that in regards to the Leader of the Opposition.
I apologize and I withdraw the comment.
Thank you very much. Questions? I recognize the member from Humber River Black Creek.
Look, to the member opposite, let's go for a chocolate milk after you and me. I'll give you a hug. You seem pretty angry there. But I want to talk about the comments made by former NDP MPP Sherry DeNovo, who once remarked that clean drinking water was essential for human life. Does the member agree with NDP MPP Sherry DeNovo?
Response, member from Essex.
Clean drinking water is absolutely essential for life. And I agree with anybody who would repeat those words. And I praise these skilled trades people who go to the water treatment facilities in this province day after day after day. And some of those treatment facilities, they're not pleasant places to work. And I had a friend once who remarked that on a cold winter day, getting lowered into a sewer in order to unplug the sewer so that the town can keep running is an essential and important job that is completed by skilled tradespeople. And I want to praise those people who do that job, and they deserve every penny they get every day of the week. They deserve their pensions and their benefits. Fantastic workers who make cities run, the sewage and sanitary workers, the water engineers, all of those people deserve a great praise for keeping our cities running. What a wonderful trade. Thank you.
Well said.